Aloha, aloha mai, belina mai nei. Welcome to Ko Hawai'i Pai'aina, to Truth and Justice, right here at your and our community television studios, Maui nei. We love our Maui nui, and we are here to stay and to also reveal, expose, uncover, and to share with you. Yes, we welcome all of your interest in the truth. What is the truth? It's factual. We can substantiate it. We can see it. It's tangible. We know it. We feel it. And what we've been focusing on lately here on this show, we are live, by the way, on Channel 55. So if you're still looking for us on Channel 53, here you go. We're Channel 55 now. Also check out our Facebook page, that wonderful social network. No, it's not a real world, and it's not your substitution as one. It's Facebook. Check it out. We are on Truth and Justice. You can submit your videos, your comments, your manao a ike I Hawaii, ike lahu I Hawaii nei, or I ole everything that you want. But keep it within terms, you know. And we thank you, those of you. We're going to be showing some of your video live right here tonight, and we will be doing a commentary on what is going down here, right in our archipelago, Ko Hawai'i Pai'aina, the original name and identification of this beautiful world we live in. Right here, this archipelago, the largest archipelago on Earth. We are so blessed to be here. And we welcome you. Come on, come in closer to your television or your computer or whatever you're watching through, an iPod even. Technology is so wonderful. We are going to be covering genetically modified organisms and how we just do not appreciate, like, or have any more tolerance for it. Mahalo to all of you for being so voiceful against this atrocity, an attack, literally against our environment that we are so dependent upon in this archipelago. You cannot live on an island and not be intrinsically related and not have a deep-rooted comprehension and relationship. For us, ike kalahu Hawaii, this is our mo'oku'auhau that is being altered and arrested, and in places and in instances even destroyed and exterminated. So we want to talk about how we are going to solve this, but at first we need to understand and address the issues. So tonight I've got a guest with us, but before I go to our guest and introduce him, besides you all probably know him, I wanted to thank all of you from Kauai, our sister island. On the 9th of this month, Kauai had a march in March against Monsanto and to evict Monsanto. And Maupopo, it's not only Monsanto, it's Syngenta, it's all these other genetically modified organisms, proponent type of corporations that would rather destroy the environment than help you and I to thrive, or themselves even. So mahalo, there are over 3,000 people there on Kauai. They came out, you all came out for your families and your health and the health of our world, the ikos, aubua maine. And it's continuing. So Mokokiawe, Hawaii, is going to have their march on the 16th of this month. Check it out. You can probably see it on the internet. Google it up. Go to Facebook. Check out GMO-free Hawaii. Also, check out a wonderful, awesome activist, beautiful lady, Courtney Brooke. If you see her on the road, just stop and give her big hugs and kiss her and give her some money. And, you know, the supporters can use water. And when we, you and I, and our guest here that I'm going to introduce you to, and all of our families come out on March 23rd at high noon, we're going to meet at War Memorial Gym. Yes, War Memorial, the gym at Baldwin High School. We're going to meet there at high noon, and then we're going to march all the way to the Whole, aka Whole Foods, and let them know what we think. Come out in numbers, come out and demonstrate, It's a time to network, it's a time to figure out issues, and it's a time to plan the next step that we take that will cause the action that we want to be the result, and that is to get rid of Monsanto and the like, and get rid of them permanently. I'm not talking about Band-Aid issues or Band-Aid responses and answers, like, oh, let's just label the poisons that are poisoning us so that we know about the poisons that are poisoning us and stop right there. We don't want that. We just want Monsanto to go home, or maybe disappear, dissolve. But we just don't want anything like Monsanto here ruining and destroying our archipelago and our future generations' chances at a wonderful, beautiful, wholesome life. So, on that note, I'd like to introduce you to the Fed. Aloha.
Aloha, Mahealani. Thank you for having me back again. Nice to be here. And yes, you're right. In fact, I'm in agreement with Vandana Shiva that we don't need Monsanto to go away so much as we need them to pay compensation. They have done a lot of damage. They've caused immense health problems, and just the anxiety of the nightmare they've inflicted on people, from not just recently with this GMO stuff, but from Vietnam forward. They've created a hell of a track record of grief across a great many countries around the world, and this is taking into the bees and the birds and the other collateral damage of theirs. They've really done a number. And I think on this march, in March, when we go from Baldwin to the Whole Foods, people need to take a stop off and direct some of this anger at the police department, because we have a police department that will chase a marijuana smoker to the end of the earth, but not uphold the informed consent laws of the United States. And they're very strict laws we set down at the end of World War II. You cannot experiment on people. And we've had our own public officer of health, Dr. Lauren Pang, state that's precisely what's happening.
Let me, Kalamai, let me just interject for a moment. Can you give us a little bit of background that you have and your experience with GMO? I understand very upfront and personal experience with genetically modified organisms.
Yes. I waged a 8-year war on my neighbor in New Zealand, the Dow AgroSciences company of the United States. It's, as you say, Monsanto has many names. The early days, Dow Monsanto was one word, big D, big M. It was a one corporation. And because of the antitrust laws, it's been broken up into Syngenta, Pioneer Seeds, Oracle. These are companies created by Monsanto to be fronts for Monsanto. It's Dow and Monsanto are the same thing. So I left the United States as a disgruntled veteran in the late 70s, early 80s, and through running around the world for many years, I wound up in New Plymouth, New Zealand, and the next door neighbor was the Dow Chemical Company, and through a series of events, my wife attended a community neighborhood meeting, and we discovered that our entire neighborhood was built on a toxic waste dump of 80,000 drums of Agent Orange left over from the Vietnam War, and that Dow had been relabeling Agent Orange and selling it to New Zealand dairy farmers for 50 years. As I participated in a Aaron Brockovich-style investigation into Dow, and we learned that the effects they're hard to really grasp how horrific they are. I had a website for some time when I came back called corporatecrimeofthecentury.com, and it was in reference to this relabeling of Agent Orange and selling it to New Zealand dairy farmers resulted in the dying out completely of the Moriori, or the Maori of the South Island. All the Maori that we have in the world right now are from the North Island of New Zealand. The Maori of the South Island ceased to exist in 1963 from cancer and birth defects from dioxin, and this is acknowledged by the New Zealand government. So we have in our lifetime a modern day genocide without a bullet being fired simply by weed killer alone. And so this was the first stage of what we'd call genetic modification. It just cancerified these people.
Now this genetic modification, I understand, is engineered to attack the mitochondrial DNA.
Yes.
And mitochondrial DNA is?
Well, it's what's inside the Weissman barrier that makes up all of our genetic makeup, and so that's what turns into a zygote, turns into a human. Now, when we have things like these radiomimetic dioxins, things in 2,4,5-T, 2,4-D, there's an argument to whether or not there's dioxin in glyphosate or Roundup. This is how we have a major birth defect without killing the fetus. So the signal will go through the Weissman barrier, crash the DNA, and then you get the spina bifida, cleft palate, club foot, sometimes no brain, no eyes, horrific birth defects.
I've seen these actual photographs that were not tampered with or anything, displaying 1,500 or so aborted fetuses that were kept in jars for studies by Dow Agribusiness in Paritutu, New Zealand,
Yeah.
right? Now, this horrible scenario purposely created by this company, or these, like a group of companies, has seriously affected New Zealand in a bad way. And now we're seeing it here.
Well, we have to realize what happened in New Zealand wasn't just to the New Zealand people. For 50 years, they used relabeled Agent Orange to make milk, cheese, and butter to sell to McDonald's. So you would have all kinds of people across the United States coming up going, why does my childhood have a stage 2 diabetes, type 2 diabetes? Or, we never have this type of a spina bifida or a club foot anywhere in our track record of our family genealogy, and all of a sudden we've got these horrific birth defects. Well, they've been radioactive crap in their food is basically what it is. It's called radiomimetic. And I find an interesting quote was this Osama bin Laden guy said some years ago that Agent Orange was the poor man's nuke. He understood that one of my arguments was comparing how bad 2,4-D and 2,4,5-T is to compare Hiroshima and Nagasaki with South Vietnam. Now, the two places the United States dropped nuclear bombs on spurious means, those are okay to live in. You can go there with your Geiger counter and that's silent. You can grow rice there and eat it. You can't do this in South Vietnam. So the nuclear weapon was not nearly as bad by 30 years as the weed killer we sprayed in Vietnam, which is still there. They would still like us to come clean it up. This is incredible. It's hard. I mean, the worst pollution is that which you cannot see.
Did you see the last show where we showed Kalani'ua and Mercy Riddy's video of Molokai fields where GMO is being proliferated and poisons perpetuated? Did you see that?
No.
Well, we showed that on the last show, and we have another one, I think by Hawaii Loa Moat. And as you know, we had all these rains lately, and that causes a lot of runoff, particularly from the fields that are just monocropped for their type of GMO planting. It's a plantation that became a poisonous plantation.
I said this over time. Many times the crop became to revolve around the pesticide more than the food production.
Right.
We find this with pineapple production here. The fruit fly that attacked the pineapple created a whole industry of spraying poison that was more profitable than making the pineapple.
Right.
Insane. And so this top level of dirt that washes into the ocean, bye-bye reef, tumors on the turtles, all kinds of...
Exactly. It not only abrades the reefs, it gets in there and disperses more poison in another way. So let's check out this video and then come back and share comments on it.
March 10th, 10:35 a.m. Monsanto fields flooded with water from the rain, and as you guys can see, all the runoff water, all the chemical like gramoxone, paraquat, all running from our fields, from their fields, across the road, and right into Kanakakai Stream. All the chemicals that make people sick, all into our stream, and then down into the ocean, right here, Kanakakai wall, Pala'ao, where everybody gather their food here on Molokai. Terrible, bad practices. This is not Hawaiian, this is not Aloha Aina, and this is not what we want on Molokai or in Hawaii. These guys is polluting our streams, guys. You guys gotta wake up. They're not paying us enough for ruining our streams and ruining our Aina. Time you guys wake up. Cannot trade in our Aina for money. Terrible.
That is right. Mahalo for making that video and for showing us so that we can show others what is going on. So that is what the problem looks like and feels like. And we were just talking during that little bit that tourists don't come here and fish for their food or farm for several months. We do. We do. The people that live here. I am not going to go and get he'e anymore from around Molokai because it's now poison. And if I ingest it or feed it to my family, we're going to die. That's it.
And it's good to hear, you know, this guy is realizing what's happening. This isn't something, it's not like a car crash where you sweep up the broken glass and do some body work and fix it. You can't make this stuff go away for a long time.
What about
it gets in your environment.
He said paraquat.
This was it's a chemical of war. They use it to fight bugs, but it's very easily to turn around, take the fluoride out of the tap water, mix it with these things, and you have sarin and other nerve gas elements. They're weapons of war, and they're being used in the food industry, and they have no place there. The healthiest food is when you've got healthy soil, like Vince Mina and those people have been professing. You create healthy soil, that creates healthy food, that creates healthy people. This poison has no business in any of it. And it's gone crazy. I mean, we see them going down the side of the highway with a fire hose, just saturating everything, and they spray a broadleaf weed killer on a grass.
Who's doing the spraying?
The Department of Highways has a contract with Monsanto I use 867 gallons of Roundup, 760 odd gallons of Garlon for serious weed killers.
Garlon is?
That's 2,4,5-T under any other name, trichlorophenol. So it's obscene. It's like changing the tire on your truck and saying it's now a motorcycle. It's still a truck. It's baloney.
It's still poison.
Yes.
So does the county of Maui administration, we know it's a de facto administration, however, an administration, do they have direct knowledge?
They have direct knowledge because I have forced it down them. It has been the biggest pain in the butt I could for the Maui County Council for the last numerous years. And recently, I forget who it was, Kathleen Usher, some lady here recently approached Don Couch and Gladys Bisa about the massive overuse of Roundup, and these two said that there's no scientific evidence that it's harmful and it's safe. Now, if I could direct yourself and anyone to www.getipm.com, getintegratedpesticidemanagement.com, and go in that website, you'll see that it's against federal law for any public official to state that any pesticide is safe. So when Don Clouch and Gladys Bisa did this, they broke federal law. You're not allowed to say Roundup is safe because it isn't. That's a fact.
And a very hard-hitting fact, too. I can hear silverware hitting plates out there at dinner tables while this program is on. And you should react that way because you put your faith and you put your votes, and that's how you show your support for your political representatives who are making decisions based on their personal interest in a corporation whose sole business is to spread disease and to spread death.
They're blatantly involved in eugenics. It's almost like they don't even bother hiding it
anymore. It does lead that way, doesn't it?
Of course it is. The population control, they're weaponizing the food chain. We have international laws against all that they're doing. And again, like I say, I see in one of the recent protests at Monsanto, there was a policeman saying, oh, I have to stay neutral in this. Officer, no, you don't. Poisoning people to death is against the law. So these people calling themselves police, you owe us an explanation as to why you won't uphold the law. If I poison someone and they die, you're busting out handcuffs. But if my name's Monsanto, you just crawl away and hide?
Well, I think that, we're all wondering on this island how after over 15 years of the people who are in Kihei and Wailea area requesting a police station out there at that end. We're all wondering why all of a sudden there's a police station being built that looks like a fortress, by the way, right in the front of Monsanto Laboratories, that's situated directly across the street of a preschool.
Liken this to putting up a university for pedophilia across the street from the kindergarten. It's offensive. The Maui police, what are you thinking?
Rally.
Accept a police station from Monsanto? What are you thinking? This is offensive, really.
I think there should be a public panel on this, one with transparency and integrity. Speaking of scientific data, and perhaps Donald Couch and Gladys Weiss are out there watching, and numerous others who have their paychecks supported directly by the people who are in their constituency and would make statements like that which you said here on the show. Take a look at this. Now, this, you can tell the audience more about this.
This is the dioxin concentrations in residential soil. It was an exhibit in a court case. I forget which one. I was arrested numerous times in New Zealand fighting Dow.
Let me show you this page here.
But what this did was it resolved the argument of whether or not Paratutu was contaminated and to what degree. This study was $500,000 worth of soil samples, and it took 2 years of fighting to keep it from being done in an American or New Zealand laboratory. Once we finally got a study done in a Canadian laboratory, the results came out and reversed all the previous 30 years of findings, which amounted to a bunch of lies.
I want to direct our audience and look at it with your own eyes here to this highlighted section. Contamination occurred via discharges to air with subsequent deposition over the residential neighborhood. Okay, now this is in an independent study, not done by anyone who is bought and sold by Monsanto or anything such as a corporation, bought and sold by Monsanto. This is done to prove that all of these dioxins, poisons, go airborne. So we were just watching a video where the already contaminated soil was going into the stream and going out into literally our icebox, because
right onto the dinner plate.
We are not a dependent people. We are independent. We don't subsist, we exist. And when we go fishing and we provide food for ourselves and our families, they're coming out of our environment. So maka'ala, this is very real. This is on your doorstep. It's in the air. It goes airborne. GMOs are not just in McDonald's foods, they're in the air that you breathe. And for you to protest, take a few hours out of your day and show up and suit up and lend your voice to your family, your collective community, our family, it doesn't take that much for you to do this. We need your help and we need your support. Come from Lanai, come from Molokai. People from Maui can go to Molokai for their march. We can support one another. We're part of the same kalana, part of the same county. And when we boot these guys out, we have to do it permanently and with strength and unity and numbers. These guys are bringing poisons into the air that we breathe. I mean, we're already fighting chemtrails, stratospheric aerosol spraying, which is full of barium, strontium, and aluminum, and other poisons in the air. So it's just a compounding of problems, and you can join the two issues right there. We can find a solution.
If I could add, this study was done by the Hatfield Group of British Columbia. The Hatfield Group of British Columbia is how our Vietnam veterans got compensated for exposure to Agent Orange. It wasn't by the goodwill or good faith of the U.S. government, who fought tooth and nail to screw their own soldiers for decades. It was finally the Canadians came to the rescue of the American soldiers. And the admission that the contamination occurred via discharges to air with subsequent deposition over the neighborhood doesn't take into account that outdoors you have wind, lawn mowing, all the seasons, the photo degradation, insect traffic, all this. This air went through these homes, and this stuff built up inside the homes, in the wall cavities, the crawl spaces, the attics. So if the outside came out, what this report came was up to 30 times evacuatable levels of 2378 TCD. So it's like a Times Beach, Missouri, or a Love Canal. You need to fence it off and get everyone out.
Chernobyl.
Yes, precisely. It's another Chernobyl, a Bhopal, and it encompasses most of New Zealand. And
This is so unacceptable.
And the power of this company was that they got the New Zealand government to take and move the decimal point in the United States EPA safety data. And then the media there colluded with the government and Dow and lied. And all these people were led to believe that it was safe to stay in their homes, when if they were in any other country in the world, they'd be evacuated and run out. So that's what we're dealing with. People that they buy and sell police departments and governments just like you do used cars. They're very powerful.
Well, I don't think that Maui is putting up with this.
No, I don't, and I can sense there's an undertone out there. If people could see the things I saw when I broke into the Taranaki Base Hospital in New Zealand and found the 167 kids in jars, those went hidden up to Greenland and Auckland, and then so we went up there and we broke into that hospital and we found 1,300 kids in jars. One of the things that sticks in my mind was this little baby. He had no arms, no legs, big bumps on him, but on his forehead was a miniature leg, all in proportion. A tiny little thigh, a knee, and a thing. Something you would see out of a Stephen King movie. This little baby in a jar had a leg sticking off of his forehead. That's what you're looking at here on Maui, if we let these people continue on with this path, with this experimenting on us, this madness with these poisons and Garlon 4. Now we're eating corn with who knows what's in it, pharmaceuticals, hepatitis.
And feeding it to animals that are being consumed by humans.
They feed it to the animals, we eat the animals. It's they've done the sort of thing that would make Hitler blush. There's no doubt about it.
Whew. All right, and if you would like to confirm the facts or get perhaps copies or something of this book too, you can contact Corporate Crime of the Century at yahoo.com. Corporate Crime of the Century at yahoo.com. And speaking of media and the suppression of factual truths, I'd like to introduce our next video and say cheers and kulana to the island of Kauai. Na po'ela, mahalo.
Yeah, this was good.
This is good.
I was scared when I lost my mother, my father, my brother, my sister. Otherwise, you know, I guess it's gonna sound kind of weird. I'm not scared for myself for dying. Because I believe all of these is all temporary. This is just one shell. Because we Hawaiian, we live in both worlds. I don't know if you can relate to this. We live on both sides. So it's kind of like if I went now, that's all right. I'll go set the table for you guys, keep this too hot because we cannot help it, but it's in our veins. It's the cocoa that flow in our body. We cannot help it. Starting all over again, it's gonna be rough for us, but we're gonna make it. Starting all over as friends, it's gonna be tough on us. We gotta face it. We lost what we had, that would hurt us so bad. Set us back 1,000 years, but we gonna make it up. Though I know gonna be tough to erase the hurt and fears. Oh, starting all over again, it's gonna be hard, but I pray to the Lord to help us make it. Starting all over again, it's gonna be slow, but we both know we're gonna make it. We gotta take life as it comes. Never fuss about it, what's right or wrong. It's an uphill climb to the finish line. We're gonna try just one more time. Starting all over again, it's gonna be hard on us, but we can make it. Starting all over again, it's gonna be tough, we both know, but we're gonna make it. We gotta take life as it comes. Don't make any fuss about it, what's right or wrong. We're gonna make it up, though I know it's gonna be rough to erase the hurt and fears. Oh, starting all over again, it's gonna be rough for us, but we're gonna make it. Starting all over as friends, it's gonna be rough on us, but we gotta face it.
Oh, hello. Well, actually, I'm very offended at that flag over my face. But thank you guys. That was incredible. That's the spirit. And at the end where the little girl is carrying her, it's just, it gets you because it is about an attack on the DNA. Mitochondrial DNA is present in the womb. So when a baby is formed, they need all this goodness and all these beautiful basic parts of becoming a being. And what messes that up or arrests it are these poisons. So mamas, come on out Saturday, high noon on March 23rd. We're going to march to evict Monsanto. And all of you, I know you're out there, you have knowledge about the royal patents, you have knowledge about the true legal and legitimate status of the lands and patented waters here that are being subjected to this type of pollution and possible extinction or termination of species and incredible and valuable flora and fauna that we have here that's keeping the balance of our environment together. You need to come out and show up too, because people need to become aware of the knowledge that you have. You're dealing with patented lands and patented waters. they are not within the jurisdiction of those proposing to sign these contracts on your behalf, which open the doors and the floodgates to Monsanto, Syngenta, and these murderous corporations to come on in and destroy our environment.
And while we're on this, we have here at Akaku this wonderful venue. And I'd like to take a second, let's examine what it said at the Akaku Channel 54 page up until recently. It said, for 8 years now, Akaku's been the only public access station in the whole of the United States that allowed viewers to program a community television channel. Up until recently, you could at home press play on your computer and play a video for everyone that had Oceanic Time Warner Cable in the hotels, in the homes, in the condos. You press play and you got to program what your neighbors saw. Two people came on board at Akaku here, one particular Gene Zaro and one Neil Abercrombie. And when these two came on board, suddenly the greatest act of censorship that I've seen in the United States, besides Don't Talk About Building 7, took place here on Maui. You lost the ability to program the TV station, and it was blamed on several people. A small group of individuals started to dominate the program by gaming the system. This was not possible. The system wasn't gameable to begin with. And we know this because Let Us Spray, the documentary on New Zealand, and 9/11 Mysteries, a documentary on 9/11, got played so often by you, the public, that it got pulled out of the library for 6 months.
What about resubmitting it?
Well, you can submit things all you want, but if they've taken away our ability to program it and play it, then we've lost a great...
We don't have programmable?
You cannot program anything. The 9/11, www.911missinglinks.com was the last straw. They came in and said, we will not allow the public to program television anymore because this truth about 9/11 gets out, and this is the great why so many veterans come home and blow their brains out. I mean, imagine going to Iraq and Afghanistan and finding out that there was none of these people involved with 9/11. That airplanes can't knock down buildings, and especially 2 airplanes can't knock down 3 buildings, and that...
Well, if there were charges involved, and I mean explosives and
which
other
obviously
things like that,
there was.
There's so much evidence. I mean, it's pretty undeniable. It's on YouTube, so send it out around as much as possible, and I think that we'll take care of whatever issues that we have, and try our best to resolve them together.
And I think here on Maui, we need to pressure Mr. Zaro and Jay April and the people at Akaku, put the power to program the TV back in the hands of the public. That was immensely powerful.
I had no idea that was taken off. It's not programmable.
You used to be able to go to all of your programs that were submitted on your library, click one and press play now.
Well, let's hope that you demand that this show is programmable and that we do have this feature still, because this is a community television studio, and we appreciate you, and we appreciate everybody's efforts here at Akaku as well. I got a text just now. I'm learning to keep this handy while we're on the show or when I'm talking, and I love getting these texts. Someone out there figured out that there were 3,000 people at the Kauai March for environmental justice here, evict Monsanto, and that is 30% of the population
That's
of that island. And
that's outstanding.
Yes, and the message also contained, let's do that here. So cheers to you. Thank you for doing that. And if you have any more texts or Facebook messages, I'll probably get them as well. Now, when we come back to GMOs, we're talking about genetically modified organisms. We also not only involve the environment and the damage and the pollution, but we're talking about what happens to our bodies as well. And a lot of people are sharing in the awareness and bringing out awareness. And one of them is making it cool. This is Kelly Slater. Let's check out what he's got to share with us as well. Right on, Kelly.
You have health issues in your family, if your father dies from cancer like mine did, if you have friends that are affected, by having kids with autism, you start to have a lot of questions. Where do these come from? It seems like every day we're learning about either some new disease or a higher rate of disease in children. Now all the food companies have graded the seed banks. They've patented all the seeds. So basically they own all the seeds, and they're getting rid of the future of biodiversity in a lot of ways. I think this is more about control of food. It seems like a no-brainer to me. I couldn't imagine coming out against labeling GMO foods. Hawaii is a bunch of guinea pigs. The islands are a bunch of guinea pigs for these companies. If something goes really bad, then at least it's contained in one area. You hear the name Kamehameha Schools, and you would think of protection and some sort of sovereign group looking out for the land. The track record for Monsanto hasn't seemed to be too good by most people's calculations. How toxic is that land going to be after it's been sprayed with Roundup for 15 years or 20 years, 30 years? It's almost going to be unusable for anything else.
That's good, right on. I think I asked, well, I might have Facebooked it out there that Kelly Slater should be interviewed live on this show. So maybe he'll answer me.
Well, it's good to see surfers, and they've been, Central Ocean users. I would have thought they would have been more upset longer ago, but now a lot of surfers are coming on board, and I can see, But he's right. These islands are being used as a chemical test place because they're so far away. If something terrible happens with this genetically modified corn, the sort of things that Dr. Lauren Pang has warned about, it's contained out here. But when you're subjecting to people things like that, you're committing terrorism on them. I'm not your lab rat. You don't have the right to do this to me or my kids or anyone else. And which begs the question again, back to the police. They're not wearing gas masks. They got wives and kids. What are the police thinking?
Well, they think that that's their only, that's their job. They think that that is their job, to protect these corporations. And if you look at their original charter under the Republic of Hawaii coup d'etat, they are sworn to protect the oligarchy. And I think many of the policemen and women have no idea of that. So it's about addressing the issues in a well-informed manner, and you've always said this, to have informed consent. And I think if informed consent were brought up by the people, that we would have to raise the issue of the crimes against the Geneva Convention. Human experimentation is illegal. It is a violation of rights from here to there.
And funny, the United States, the one country who won't sign on with the ICC.
But yet, as a member state which created the ICC by charter, they are subjected to any of its rulings.
I've always thought if we could get Mr. Cheney or Mr. Rumsfeld in handcuffs and offshore, they'd be happy to prosecute them. I know
Right.
The Spaniards would.
But then again, you know, and I just bring up this argument because of the way that I think, is those are individuals. And we're talking about corporations built into a system that is foreign. But how do we utilize the administration's protections that are set there for us? We are not within the United States jurisdiction. 1988 DOJ memo already stated to the world and beyond that the United States does not and is not empowered to have extraterritorial reach, is what it is, to through its military venues to foreign nationals or foreign national soil and water, and especially not to pollute it and to perpetuate and commit genocide that's continuing to be perpetuated. So that's what the problem looks like. And we've seen people address it in beautiful ways, like Kelly Slater says, you know, this whole lifestyle that we all love and we enjoy. You know, we're water people. We grow up here in the ocean. We respect the ocean. We live it. We love it. And it's being destroyed in front of our eyes. The next generation will have what? You know? So we have to find the root of this problem. How do we solve it? Not by just labeling, not by just fighting individuals like Lone Rangering, but gathering together and uniting and addressing what will finally terminate the destruction, that will finally terminate it. Monsanto needs land. Monsanto needs water. Where is the land and the water located? Not within the United States, certainly not then reachable by United States administration. So we have to stand on that and you know, show people that you have to be fearless. You can't be afraid that you may or may not have ownership, which is not a Polynesian concept at all. And you've been around the world, you've been with indigenous and rootsy people. And the most of our concepts come out of stewardship and responsibility, and that's always a two-way street, you know? So we want to advocate for that we find the solution in what's already been here and what's worked for 1,000 years, in balance. And I'm being reminded there's a flag behind us. I want to just draw your attention to this wonderful flag. It is a special flag because it is hand sewn and homemade by Tutu herself, and she signed it and dated it on my birthday. So this is Kauikeoli's flag that he came up with around 1843. CD, you can probably correct me. This flag is very incredibly special because we're going to do a flag exchange with West Papua, Melanesia. And I asked her, Tutu, can you sew a flag? And she said, yeah, I can sew a flag. And it turned out so incredible and beautiful. Now we do not want to exchange this flag with West Papua, Melanesia. I mean, would you, if your Tutu hand-sewed flag? So I wanted to, you know, acknowledge that and definitely give deep thanks and gratitude to Tutu, wonderfully talented wahine, 80 years old and still kicking butt. And I hope that Tutu, you're going to be there in the March Saturday, okay? And bring lots of water and a hat. And let's make a day of it and make some real things happen. What do you think is a good solution for us?
I see a big problem in that people keep thinking they're voting. The act of voting requires you to take a physical ballot and have it put in a ballot box and counted by a person. This business of pushing buttons on electronic computers and thinking that you've cast a ballot is not, it doesn't fly with me. And it's why we're stuck in this circle. The democratic process is fixed, it's broken, and it needs to be brought back to a system of legitimacy where there's a genuine ballot. And I think
agree.
also the system is so rigged behind the scenes that we aren't allowed to vote for people who aren't already in Monsanto's pocket to begin with. There needs to be a real radical change in the kind of person sitting on these council boards, these millionaire hotel managers and people who run banks and all this. These aren't your average members of the public, and so they don't really, as per se, like have a jury of your peers. To have extremely wealthy people always making up the government or control freaks or whatever, that's not democratic. You need your average Joe to be on the council, and we don't have that. We have people in the pockets of corporations, people who are willing to say anything, even though they know it's not true, at great expense to the rest of us. And so I think that we need a top-down repair of everything.
Okay, so let's call a meeting and get together and brainstorm, come up with a solution, and really do it, because GMOs gotta go.
Yeah, they do. They are. If all of Europe can do it, Australia, all these other countries have said, you're not doing that to my kids. What's your problem? How is it okay to poison your kids? What are you thinking?
That's right.
No more.
That's right.
Enough.
So their administrations were kind enough to disallow GMOs into their countries. Why can't this state of Hawaii administration do the same?
Yeah, well, we can, and it's not just GMOs. A lot of these other, when I brought up with Mayor Arakawa, I had a talk with him one time. There's shires and councils and states and small countries all over the world who stopped the whole pesticides, period. They found out the regulatory process for approval of Roundup was bogus. They saw the bees and the butterflies and everything dying off, and they've stopped the usage of this. If we were to stop using Roundup on Maui tomorrow, for one, it would take 5 years for the poison to stop leaching into the ocean. But within 2 weeks, you'd have to go employ a whole bunch of people and pay them money to do the work that these chemicals were doing, roadsides, this and that. So
we need to plant
there's nothing but a win-win situation by dealing with these monster companies and their stupid poisons. They're killing us. Literally.
What is sustainability if you're not willing to stand up and make sure that it does take place, that you are able to be sustainable? I mean, why bring permaculture here?
Yeah.
Why bring sustainability here if you sit back and you're content with Monsanto being in your living room, on your dinner plate, and in your children's bodies?
Yeah.
Because that's what it really comes down to. As a mother, I think, and even if I wasn't a mother and I had no children, I would think that it's an invasion. It's an invasion cellularly. It's corruption of my ancestral lineage and also descendancy. So if you can come out March 23rd at high noon, come and say aloha, come and meet us, and bring out your mana. Let your voices be heard. We were going to show another video, but we don't have time for that one. But I want you to check out how GMOs alter your organs. How GMOs alter your organs. Now we're talking about the little baby with the foot in its head. We're talking about ridiculous atrocities against human beings done by corporations who are here and who are your neighbors. You can find better jobs. People in Molokai are starving for good jobs, and yet they're being overrun by these corporations. Who's bringing them in? The state of Hawaii, making horrible decisions. And if that's how your vote is being interpreted over there at that level, then your vote doesn't matter. You need to get out.
Absolutely.
And do it, okay? I want to show this picture though. Speaking of Alan Arakawa, who is the de facto administrative chief in charge. Let's take a look at this picture of the Kauai mayor. Look at that. Kauai mayor holding up an anti-GMO sign with ohana. Now, Alan Arakawa, will you do the same? Are we going to see Alan Arakawa, who is the acting chief and the de facto admin, come out and show his support for clean environment?
For healthy women and children.
That's right, for healthy women and children. Alan Arakawa, your family depends on this too. Okay? Unless you're teaching your children to just be, shopping at Safeway for the rest of their lives and, not go fishing or not play in the ocean and not breathe the air, especially on Kanani Road in Kihei. Okay? So you're going to have to, come real like everybody else and address the issues, identify it. We know what it looks like, okay? Children are beginning to know what it looks like. And on Maui, we are proud to raise activists.
Yes.
Here. We are proud of that, and so is Molokai and Lanai. We can do a little tiny march on Lanai, but we'd rather have all you folks come over here and join us or join Molokai because we are Maui Nui Akama, okay? And then we have another pic to show. These were picked out by Pili. And I want to show another photo because this makes a point about suppression of the facts via the old plantation-controlled newspapers out there, okay? Mm-hmm. They reported or underreported how many people were actually a part of this demonstration. We are so happy to have you folks out there with your iPhones and everything else that you could, GoPros, whatever, get out there, take a picture of it, and share it. Because the facts belong to you and I, not to lamestream media.
Right.
And then there's one more, the Maui March. Okay, check out this poster. This is wonderful. Total props to the creator of this poster. The Maui March. Can you enlarge that for us? Or maybe not. Check it out, Facebook.
Yeah, it's terrific.
Okay, and you know what? I have to remind everybody that there is an evasion bill happening. It's going through the de facto legislature. It is Senate Bill 753 SD2. 753 SD2. Evasion alert. This bill allows the disposal of agricultural land. How can you dispose of land? To the ADC, which is the Agricultural Development Corporation. Somehow, some way, a PLDC front, okay? So remember we're talking about how you gut and, I don't know, they call it gutting bills. They just create shells and slide in through all the muck and junk that you protested like a year ago or several months ago. So be aware of this. There's an evasion alert, okay? It's Senate Bill 753 SD as in dog, number 2, okay? It's not too legit, it's just too bad, okay? So this is a bill to kill. 753 SD2, it disposes of ag land to the Agricultural Development Corporation. Agricultural Development, smells like Monsanto.
I found it confused.
Yes, okay.
Exactly.
Fed, any last words before
Please,
we head out?
I would put in one more plug for Google Let Us Spray TV3. It's on YouTube. It's the hour-long documentary done by New Zealand's version of 60 Minutes. You'll see me in it and the children I found in Taranaki Base Hospital. And if that documentary doesn't set you straight, nothing will. If you're happy to give birth to that, you got problems.
And we don't want that. Being facetious, sometimes get the message across with emphasis. Thanks, Oots. We love you. And the flag is so awesome.
Aloha.
Mahalo. See you again next week and the week after that. Okay?
Kia kaha.
Thank you to all of the staff and the crew at Akaku. All of you are wonderful. And let's stay programmable, shall we? Mahalo. Ahui ho. Gotta go. Kako. It will always be irrevocable. Was that an awesome